What is up, guys? It's your boy Torius, back again with another video. And today I'm gonna be talking about 2.5 niggas, right? So smash the like button, comment below what you think, subscribe if you're new. Let's get the fuck into it! Alright. So, in this world, we have something called alpha males, we have beta males, right? How the fuck you know if you're an alpha male, right? How do you know if you're alpha male? You're an alpha male if you're like this. I'm just kidding. I don't know. If you're an alpha male, you just know because you get girls, right? Girls like alpha niggas, right? Which brings me to the topic: 2.5 niggas, because you always have two niggas, right? You always have the alpha male, you have the beta male, right? Then you got what's in between, right? You got the in between alphas and you got the in between betas, right? Which is Jake. You ever seen 2.5 Men? Jake is like in between because, you know, he's learning from his dad, but he also has his uncle who he takes after, right? Like he sees his uncle, he sees, oh, my uncle's doing this, Uncle Charlie, right? Like if you watch 2.5 Men, you understand. He's like, oh, Uncle Charlie, right? You know, all my life I always wanted to be like Uncle Charlie, right? I always want to be like, you know, he's basically like Hugh Hefner. He's basically just like getting a whole bunch of girls, just having a whole lot of money. It's like, why wouldn't you want to be Charlie Sheen, right? Or Charlie Harper? Is it wrong to be a beta male though? Like, is it wrong to be an Alan? I mean, if you watch the show, you see how terrible Alan's life is, right? And you see like, damn, you know, Alan kind of sucks, right? He's always like, oh, the rules. And he's always, it's so funny when Alan changes himself too. He's like, you know what? Today I'm gonna act not like Alan. I'm gonna be bad Alan. And he sees that doesn't align. Alan. That's funny, I just realized that. That doesn't align with Alan, right? That's so stupid. That doesn't align with Alan's, like, his the way he sees himself, right? Because he doesn't see himself as that person who's like, you know, I'm the nigga that does my own thing, right? That's basically what Charlie is. Charlie is, he just does his own thing, right? He's just a man that, he's just like, oh, I'm not living for anyone else. I'm living for myself, right? But Charlie does turn into a beta after a while. But you know, he's not as bad as Alan. Like Alan is a typical good boy, right? Like the nice guy. Like if you watch, if you ever read the book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, Alan is basically just the same person, right? He has like no boundaries. He's just like, he tries to act tough, but he's just a weak man, right? And that's what beta males are. Beta males are just weak men. Like, it's just a man who's weak. Like, people say like, oh, the wolves, right? The wolves. But it's like, who gives a fuck about the wolves, right? It's about the characteristics, right? It's like, I'm thinking about volcanoes. I don't know why. But it's like a smart guy and a not smart guy, right? Just because two people are smart at something doesn't mean that they're not smart, doesn't mean that they're not dumb, right? Because some dude can know a lot about physics and chemistry, some other dude can know about NASCAR and beer, right? Like that doesn't not make you smart. It just means that you put time into certain things, right? Like whenever you think someone's dumb, right? If you think someone can be dumb, it's like they're not dumb. It's just that their time and attention is going to other things that you might not consider to be smart, right? Like me and my brother, for instance, right? Like he thinks that I'm not smart because I don't like fuck with politics, right? He's like, oh, if you're not into politics then you're not smart. And it's like, no, nigga, I'm more into like the world, like spirituality, right? Like not the world, I'm not into it. I'm more into like spiritual stuff, right? I'm more into that kind of thing. So it's like I don't need to fucking be, you know, listening to no politics and shit. You feel me? It's like it's like just because you're an alpha male, like you know you're an alpha male, right? An alpha male is just a person who's just concerned with himself, right? He's not concerned, oh, what are these people thinking about me? What is everyone thinking? Like, I remember I used to be in school, right? I used to be walking around school thinking everyone's looking at me, right? And it's funny because I would die for that kind of attention, right? I would literally die for that kind of attention, for everyone to be looking at me. And it's funny how like XXXTentacion had that song blow up, right? Look at me, fuck at me, look at me, right? And he's like, he's just saying to look at him, right? Like basically give him attention. And it's funny that like I bring that up too, because I was literally just thinking like, I feel like you know, I would always condemn demon shit, right? Like demonic shit. I would literally condemn it. But then I just realized something. I realized the more you give someone attention, the more energy they'll have and the more they can transcend, basically, right? So, you have to give yourself the attention, right? Like, instead of worrying about what other people are thinking, worry about what you're thinking, right? Worry about, not like what you're thinking, but worry about how you're feeling inside, like internally, like in your belly, in your stomach. Like, what's my titty doing, right? Like, just feel, oh, that's my titty, that's my stomach, that's my neck. Ugh. A lot of us hold tension in these areas, right? Like, I was watching Kitchen Nightmares, and it's funny because there was two brothers, right? And they were like Italian, and one of them was he owned it, and he was a head chef, right? And it's funny because like they were saying how like his hair is like turning white, right? He's like, oh, his hair turned white, and his brother's hair is black, right? And it's right. And he's like, oh, that's why you have white hairs, because you're so stressed out all the time, right? It's the same thing happens with beta males, right? Like a beta male will just be stressed all the time thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I making these people happy? Am I doing whatever, right? Instead of just making himself happy. Instead of doing the things that he knows that he needs to do to get his shit good, right? Like a lot of times we'll hang out with a girl, right? Like you'll catch us hanging out with a girl and we'll be like, oh, I gotta get this for her, I gotta get that for her, do all these things. And you know, like you gotta prepare for her. It's so annoying dealing with girls, bro. Because you gotta be prepared. You gotta have everything good for her, right? You gotta make sure you're not like working. Because the thing is, we're always working, and a girl wants to see us as the most inconvenient times ever, and it was just like, all right, whatever, right? And we gotta stop everything we're doing. Just if you find yourself stopping everything you're doing for a girl, then you're already fucking up, right? That's already better. But they catch us doing, you know, we gotta stop everything we're doing for the girl, and that's literally where you're going wrong. That's not making you alpha. What makes you alpha is keeping your shit like, oh yeah, I'll see if I have time, whatever, you know, and just whenever you have time. But what else? You know, the alpha is also very relaxed, right? Like if you think of alpha male, like if you say how can I be more alpha, just be more relaxed, right? Like when I was watching the Kitchen Nightmares, dude was they asked dude, hey, Gordon asked the dude, what kind of cheese is in this ravioli? And dude, you could tell he was like the type of dude to be like, oh, how do I get girl? Right? I mean, I could be wrong, but he was very like robotic, and he was very in his head. He was just a nerd, right? And he's like, oh, I must go and proceed. And he's like, and it's funny because I saw one of the comments said, oh, this dude, the waiter was on his most important mission ever, right? Like this is his most important assignment ever. Because he's like, I must find the cheese that's for Gordon Ramsay, right? And he's like, and he's just like a robot, right? And it's funny to think how I used to be like that, right? I used to literally be, because I remember I used to rap when I first started, and everyone would say like, oh, your songs sound very robotic. And I realized that's because that's how I was, like, right? I was a robot, basically. And a lot of times people don't break out in music because their sound is robotic, right? They don't sound good, right? They don't sound like they're good on the track because they're not just being free. They're not flowing, right? They're not, like, everyone likes to flow. Like, it's funny, like, dudes be like, oh, I gotta make my own flow. I gotta create a new flow. No, man, just use your flow, right? Like Ski Mask of Slump God. He's the best rapper ever. Dude has his own flow, right? He has his own flow. He's like, right? And he's just like, him and X, they all had their own flow. It's like you never hear no one rapping like that, really, because they created their own flow. Like Ski Mask is genuinely himself, right? Every time he raps, because it's like it's like he has a flow that no one else can copy, right? Like, I mean, like his flow is always different on a track. It's always the same, but it's different. It's so crazy, right? I remember first listening to Ski Mask, that shit would be so wild. It's like Ski Mask's flow is so like, but then it's like constant, but very like changing. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how you gotta be, right? It's your flow. Go with your flow. Be flowing with life, with life. You feel me? That's what confidence is. Confidence is going with how life, like, there's a constant flow in life. You just gotta go with the flow. You know, go with the flow, dude. Go with the flow, man. But yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, go with the flow. That's the alpha state. You feel me? That's the alpha state. The alpha state is going with the flow because you're an alpha brainwave. The brainwave is just relaxed. Like, I'll just let the universe decide. That's literally what being alpha is. It's not being a Chad. It's not being a Rad. It's not being a dad. It's being a flowing person. That being said, like the video. Oh, proof about it, right? Yesterday I got this girl's number, right? I'm talking to her, and you know, I'm in my head, right? A lot of times I'll talk to a girl and I'll be in my head, and the thing is, like, you want to say something, but then you understand, like, if you say something, it's like right before you're about to say something, that's when it becomes awkward, right? It becomes awkward, but then once you relax, you allow her space to speak, and the more times that she's speaking, then she's, you know, it's not like she's calling the shots. It's that she's just making it easier for you, right? She's like, okay, I can relax around this dude because you're not like this. When dudes are in their heads around women, they're like this, and it's like the girl can't relax because she's also like, the girls are reflections. If you're talking to a girl, she's like your reflection, right? So she's like this, and you're like this. But if you relax, then she can relax, and then she can go, whoo, and the flow can happen, right? And you don't gotta do nothing. So yeah, with that being said, like the video, comment below what you think. Subscribe if you're new, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them in another video. Also, subscribe to the Patreon, the OnlyFans, all that. Follow me on Instagram at Torius at 6 Foot Interviews, and I will answer a question that you have in a video. That being said, catch you guys in the next one.